What's up, y'all? So today we're going to be talking about, is it still worth buying the FX3 in 2025? Let's get into it. All right, so we have the FX3 here. We've had this camera for a year now. It's been such a beast. We're going to get into everything that I love about it. Is it still worth buying in 2025? And we're going to go from there. First thing we're going to dive into about this camera is the 4K 60 no crop. This thing is a full frame readout, meaning you have no loss of view. I came from the Sony A7 IV and I hated when I was shooting on the A7 IV and I was shooting on a 35mm, had to crop in for 4K 60 and I was basically shooting on a 50mm. So that was a big advantage of upgrading to the FX3, not having that crop when I'm shooting slow motion. It also has 4K 120 with a slight crop, I believe it's 10%, but not a big deal, as opposed to that bigger crop size on the A7 IV. So 4K 60, you get some beautiful slow motion shots in the same direct field of view that you're filming on. So if you're shooting on a 35 on the full frame sensor, you're gonna get that 35. If you're shooting on a 50, you're gonna get that 50. Again, the 4K 120, slight crop, but you're gonna get that slow, buttery B-roll footage that you can for your commercial work, client work, or if you want some really slow motion shots for your weddings, sports, anything of that nature. I can deal with the 10% 4K 120, but love the image resolution and the 4K 60 no crop factor. Next thing I love about this camera that's still gonna be good for years to come is the low light performance on this thing. Of course, as you guys know, there's two base ISOs. You got the 800 ISO and 12,800 ISO. Basically meaning that's the cleanest images that you're gonna get from those two different ISOs. So when you get to 12,800, you start new in low light and get a clean image, wipe away all the noise from your footage. I've used the 12,800 so many times at receptions when I had really dark venues, very low light lit. I've used it for outside street lighting when I'm just outside and it's really dark, bumping up to 12,800, you get the cleanest images, and I love. It's a 12 megapixel sensor, so you get excellent low light capabilities from it. Another great thing about this camera with the low light, it retains highlights really well. So I'm someone that likes to overexpose my image so I could bring it down, but not too far where it'll clip your stuff, but I've really stretched the overexposing before and still able to retain highlights whether it be in my skies or the highlights in my video. Next thing we're gonna get into is the color science. I love the color science from Sony. I've made my own LUT, been able to color grade with this thing. This thing shoots 10-bit, so I can get a high dynamic range of color when I'm color grading, shooting an S-Log3. I came from something when I first started, I had the Sony ZV-E10, which only did 8-bit. So I wasn't able to color grade as well as I was with a 10-bit camera and creating my own LUTs with that. The flexibility for color grading with this thing is unbelievable. The S-Log3, it handles all skin tones perfectly well, and the highlights roll off nicely. Then it's easy to match with all my other cameras. So if you have a Sony FX6, a Sony A7 III, the Sony FX30, you can match all your colors with the camera line. Another great thing about this camera is the tally lights on it. We've all been there where you've been to a shoot, you're looking at your camera and you realize you didn't hit record. Just having that peace of mind knowing that the tally lights are on and it's rolling and recording is a game changer. I love just looking over. There's been so many times I'm recording interviews, forgot to hit the record button, or I'm looking at my camera like on my A7 IV, like, did I hit the record button? So with the FX3, being able to have those tally lights is such a game changer. When I mean tally lights, I'm talking about when you hit that record button. Don't have an SD card in here. Throw it in here real quick. So what I mean is when you hit that record button and you have that visual cue right there that it's recording, or you have one on the back as well, and then you have one on the front. So 3 visual cues, knowing that you're recording just gives you that peace of mind. And when you're not recording, they all turn off. So just love that aspect of the tally lights. I know it's small, but for something like that, it's huge for me and gives me peace of mind. Also, FX3, I've never heard of nobody's FX3 overheating. Especially, this is really crucial for weddings. My A7 IV used to always overheat at ceremonies and cut off. It would absolutely irritate me. I hated that. So I actually stopped using the A7 IV for weddings. The FX3 Of course, having an internal fan it never overheats on me. That being said, I still don't like leaving, like say if it's 98 degrees, I don't like leaving my camera out there just cooking up, even though it has an internal fan. But in the same sense, this camera has never overheated on me. I've never heard of anyone saying their camera overheated. If it has, put it in the comments. But the FX3, great camera, doesn't overheat, and I love that part about it. The FX3 is also lightweight. I use this for all my engagement shoots and a lot of other client work or events to throw on a gimbal. So I like the form factor. It's small as opposed to like my big FX6. I used to shoot with that on a gimbal. I hate it. I don't like shooting on a gimbal. So the FX3 is perfect. It's small, the compact form. So this thing goes on the gimbal all the time. I used to rig this one out, but I don't rig it out no more. I just use this for gimbal work. And it's great either or. So it's great handheld to rig it all up, have the top handle on it, or to put it on a gimbal. Speaking of top handle, that's another great thing about this camera. Having the top handle, I don't have it with me right now, but having the XLR inputs and having to be able to just mount straight onto the horseshoe right here. I used that when I was using just this as my A camera. So I had this thing fully rigged up, had the matte box, had the base plate, the V-mount battery, the top handle, all of the whole 9 yard. So it's really, really good to mount up with the XLR input so you can put your microphone into and have the phantom power to go into it. Now, the only thing anyone could really complain about this camera is the internal ND, if it had internal ND or if it shot 6K or 8K, but it'd be a whole different camera. Other than that, it's a solid beast to still buy in 2025. A lot of other wedding videographers are still going to buy this camera. I think it's great for creators as well that take content creation seriously, and it's just a great investment. This camera has made me a lot of money in the past couple of years, and I will not be selling this camera for a while. I'm going to keep this camera, and I definitely think it's still worth buying in 2025 for any type of creator, any type of videographer, for commercial work, weddings, documentaries, anything of that nature. I can't really say anything bad about it. I've had no reliability issues with this thing. It's never, over the past year and some change that I've used this. Like I said, I've used it on a lot of weddings, never overheated, never had any type of issues with it. It's worked great for me. Like I said, the biggest things I love about it, the 4K no crop, huge thing for me. The tally lights, and then of course being able to have 10-bit shooting an S-Log 3. So after a year, this thing is still a beast. If you found this helpful, drop a comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.